righty. All righty. You are looking live at Sold Out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Washington Commanders. Now, why are the Washington Commanders 0-16? Because they suck. Welcome to the Gridiron. Oh, anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight. Shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free, fire away, throw it in the chat box. I usually try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So, as soon as I see something in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. Plus, instead of me just rambling on for half an hour or longer, it's just nice to talk to somebody else. So please feel free, fire away. Before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, I got two, in the description box is a top link in the description box. Takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. First one's called the Saquon. Second one's called the Lawrence Taylor. And the third one's called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them. So if anybody wants to help support my channel, I thank you in advance. Thank you. If you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed, I thank you. And then finally, in the description box below, there's 2 Facebook links. That's what I was trying to get to before. 2 Facebook links. The top Facebook link takes you to my Facebook group. It's called, let me get to it. I got 712,000 tabs open here, so I gotta find it. It's called the New York Giants of Gridiron. I say this in every video. Basically, my YouTube channel, my Facebook group, and my Facebook page, which I'm going to get to in a minute, it's all called like the same thing. It's a way of a moron like me, I can remember. Right? It's like, what's the group called? What's my Facebook page? What's the YouTube channel? It's all called the same thing. It dumbs it down for me. All right. What are we at? We're still holding tight. We have over 3,600 members in the group. Doing really, really well. Basically, once I get done going live here, I'll spend probably close to the next 2 hours or so just putting stuff in the group and in the page. I try to get up to if I can, 10 things or so a day in there, whether it's a video, a post, a picture, anything, something at all, I try to get stuff in there, whether it might be making fun of the Eagles or the Cowboys, which are my personal favorites, all right? But not only do I post stuff in here, but if you become a member of the group, members post stuff in here as well. So if you go there to the group, there's a ton of New York Giants information in there every day. Then the second Facebook link takes you to my Facebook page. I'm the administrator in the group, but it's my page. Again, once again, it's called the New York Giants Gridiron, the page. What do we got? We got over 1,600 likes. Doing well. And there's over 5,700 people following. I tell you what, it's really, really doing good. Really doing good. I got more people following the page than I got members in the group. And it's just crazy. And I know I started the group first. I started the group, and probably 3, 4, 5 months or so later, I started this page. So, the page has got more followers than I got members in the group. So it's really, really doing good. And basically, it's the same thing. Once I get done going live here, I'll spend the next couple hours just putting stuff in here. And I said, whether it's a video, a post, a picture, just something showing some stats of a player, something making fun of the Eagles or the Cowboys once again, which are my personal favorites. I get as much stuff in there as I can, and I don't commingle them. So basically, the stuff for the most part, whatever I put in the page, I don't put in the group. Whatever I put in the group, I don't put in the page. There's a ton of stuff every day. So as I said, if you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to my Facebook group and you become a member, there's a ton of New York Giants information every day. And like I say in every video, if you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member, if you're not 100% satisfied, you get your money back guaranteed. All right. all that stuff said and done and out of the way with, well, you think like, you got your home run hitters, right? Now, obviously, things were different back in the 60s, than the way they are now. And, every decade is different. And, it's still the same. It's football. It's running, it's tackling, it's blocking, it's pass, but, it's the same, but it's different. But, you think about OBJ, there's certain guys, the Giants haven't had think Victor Cruz, OBJ, some guys, you get the ball in their hands, they can take it all away. Right. Well, pretty much the original one for the Giants, Homer Jones, he just passed away. I believe it was yesterday. Looked like he had, I think it was it lung cancer? Yeah. Homer Jones, whose name remains in the NFL record books more than a half a century after he was one of the most prolific wide receivers in Giants history, passed away following a battle with lung cancer. He was 82. Yeah. He was for the Giants, the original home run hitter. He has certain records, not certain, right? But holds a specific record that may not ever be broken. It might, but as of right now, it hasn't been broken. We'll go over that in a bit. But unfortunately for him, he came along just after the Giants. The Giants were good in the mid-50s. They went to the championship game in 56, 58, 59, 61, 62, 63. They went to 6 championship games in 8 seasons. Unfortunately, he got drafted in 1963. I believe it was by the Houston Oilers. I'm going to read this article here. And actually, he got drafted by the Giants as well. But he signed with the Oilers. I'm going to read this article, and I think it explains this a little bit more. He injured his knee in, I guess it was training camp or whatever, and, the Oilers let him go. Well, then he picked the phone up and he called the Giants and said, you guys still interested in me? And apparently the Giants offered him knee surgery. And, let's be honest, we're going back, 60 years ago. Knee surgery was different. Knee surgery, way different than it is now. I'm not exactly sure, which knee it was exactly, was it the ACL, MCL, was it there? I don't know. It's just a knee injury. Yes, I'm saying things are different, big time different. So he got, and unfortunately, the year he got injured was 1963. The Giants really could have used him in the championship game because they lost 14-10 as they went to the championship game in 1963. Well, he was injured all 63, so he came back in 64. And he wound up getting put on like the taxi squad. That's the practice squad nowadays. So he got put on the taxi squad back then. So he got to play a little bit in 64, not too much. But unfortunately, after 63, the Giants, they went from the championship to deep into the toilet bowl. Deep. They went from, I think they were 11-3, and they went to the championship game. Really, they should have won the championship game. That's another story for another day. But they went from, I think it was 11-3 to 2-10-2. And not only did they go 2-10-2 in 64, somehow they went from 2-10-2 in 64. They went up to 7-7 in 65. And I think the coach, Ali Sherman, was the coach of the year. So you take a team 2-10-2 up to 7-7. That's a heck of a turnaround. Heck of a turnaround. But then the following season in 66, they were 1-12-1. They went, probably the worst team in Giants history. But he unfortunately, once he started playing for the Giants, he never played on a winning season. He never had a winning season in his career. He basically played with the Giants from 64 to 69. And as I'm going to read this article, after 69, the Giants traded him to the Cleveland Browns. In return, the Giants got Jim Kinnicky, who was a defensive lineman. He was at the end of his career. He only played 1970 and 71 with the Giants, and that was it. But the Giants got Ron Johnson. Wound up being a very good trade for the Giants. Ron Johnson in 1970 wound up becoming the first Giants in Giants history to rush for over 1,000 yards. Not only did he rush for over 1,000 yards in 1970, he rushed for over 1,000 yards in 1972. Then he rushed for over 900 yards in 1973 with a team that went 2-11-1. So, I mean, and he missed, I think he missed a game or game and a half in 73 or so. So, you know, even as horrible as they were, he still was on his pace for over 1,000 yards in 1973. So, Ron Johnson was a very good receiver, very good running back. Unfortunately, he got injured and his career was cut short due to injuries as well. But, you know, the Giants really did well in that draft. But anyway, Homer Jones got traded to the Browns after the 69 season. So he played one season with the Browns. He only had 10 receptions with them. They either let him go or they traded him to the Cardinals in 1971. But with his bad knees, he didn't even play for the Cardinals. He wound up retiring at the age of 29. I mean, you know. That just goes to show you. I mean, you know, just the injuries just mounted up, and a lot of it was just like, I don't know. I mean, they tried to repair what they could back then, but it was just kind of like putting Band-Aids on stuff. And, you know, I mean, Gale Sayers' career was cut really short because, you know, he really got injured. His knee got injured, and you know. The doctors just didn't know what they know nowadays. Guys come back nowadays and be just as good, if not better, than they were before. But it wasn't like that back in the 60s. So, Homer Jones actually got to play with two Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And his numbers showed. But, I mean, once again, the Giants never had a winning season. He never played on a team with a winning season. I think the Giants 1964, Homer's first season with the Giants, they were 2-10-2. Then they went to 7-7 in 65. 1966, they were 1-12-1. 67, that's when they got Fran Tarkenton. That was their second. That's his second Hall of Fame. 1964, he played with Y.A. Tittle. That was Y.A. Tittle's last season. But Y.A. Tittle's a Hall of Fame quarterback. So it was Homer Jones' first season in the NFL, he played with Y.A. Tittle, Hall of Fame quarterback. So 1967 rolls around, the Giants traded for Fran Tarkenton. Well, the Giants in 67 went 7-7. 68, they were 7-7. 69, they were 6-8. They traded them to the Browns after 69. In 1970, the Browns were 7-7. So, but Homer did get to play with two Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Y.A. Tittle and Fran Tarkenton. As I said, I'm going to read this article, but I mean, you know, Homer Jones is, you know, his record just, you know, he's just absolutely just phenomenal. You know, home run hitter, big time, and also the inventor of the spike as well too. Jones was known for his dazzling speed, and he is recognized as the first player to spike the football after scoring a touchdown. Homer Jones had a unique combination of speed and power, as it was a threat to score whenever he touched the ball, said John Mara, the Giants president and chief executive officer. He was one of the first players, if not the first, to spike the ball in the end zone after scoring a touchdown, and he quickly became a fan favorite. I remember him as an easygoing, friendly individual who was well-liked by his teammates and coaches. The Giants selected Homer Jones in the 20th round of the 1963 NFL Draft, although he had already signed with the Houston Oilers of the American Football League. But the Oilers released him after he injured his knee in training camp. He then picked the phone up. He called the Giants to ask him if they would be interested in giving him a tryout. The Giants, one of the smart moves the Giants actually made in the 60s, they said yes. They sent him a bus ticket to New York. And after watching Jones, who had run a 9.3 second 100-yard dash at Texas Southern, Coach Ellie Sherman placed him on the Giants taxi squad. that era's version of the practice squad for the entire 1963 season and part of 1964. So I also read in another article that they gave him a bus ticket and they paid for his knee surgery. And so, basically he was recovering from knee surgery in 63 and in part of 64. So after, I guess, when he was okay to go, in 1964, they brought him up off the taxi squad. He didn't do much. He had 4 receptions. But in his 4 receptions, he went for 82 yards. He averaged 20.5 yards a reception. He played in only 3 games. He didn't start any, but so basically, it was toward the end of the season. He played in 3 games, didn't start in any, but he caught 4 passes for 82 yards. In 6 seasons with the Giants, because he played from 1964 to 1969 with the Giants, Homer Jones caught 214 passes for 4,835 yards and 35 touchdowns. Jones' reception total places him 25th in Giants history. His yardage total is 6th, and his 35 touchdowns is tied for 6th. Jones' finest season was in 1967, which was his first season with Fran Tarkenton, when he finished with a career-high total of 49 receptions, 1,209 yards, which was 24.7 yards a reception, and a league-leading 13 touchdowns, and made it the first of his 2 consecutive Pro Bowl appearances. So he went to the Pro Bowl in 1967 and 1968. Jones played a final season after he played his final season. The Giants traded him to Cleveland, so he played his final season with the Browns in 1970 and finished his career with 224 receptions. Because he had 214 with the Giants. In his final season with the Browns, the injuries were mounting, and he only had 10 receptions. That's all he had in his final season. So he had 224 receptions for 4,986 yards, which is a 22.26 yard average. That remains the highest in NFL history for receivers with at least 200 catches. Buddy Dial, who played for Pittsburgh and Dallas from 1959 to 66, is second. His average, he had at least 200 catches. He's second all time with 20.83 yard average. So the next closest guy with at least 200 receptions, that is, to Homer Jones, is almost 1.5 yards behind him. On December 13, 1965, Jones caught 3 passes for 182 yards, including touchdowns of 72 and 74 yards in a 27-10 Giants victory in Washington. His 60.67 yards per catch average is tied with Bill Grauman, who had the same totals for Houston versus Denver in November 20th, 1960, which is tied for the second highest average in league history with a minimum of 3 receptions. Torrey Holt of the St. Louis Rams averaged 63 yards on 3 catches for 189 yards versus Atlanta on September 24th, 2000. So Jones is credited with inventing the spike in 1965 when he threw the ball hard to the ground after scoring a touchdown. He said what he wanted. He said he saw players like he said Paul Hornung and Frank Gifford. He said, they would score a touchdown and they would throw the ball into the stands to celebrate. But he remembered in 1965, Pete Rozelle changed the rule or whatever. He made it a fine, a $500 fine for any player throwing the ball into the stands. And back then, $500 was a huge amount. Some of these guys were making maybe 10 grand, right? So you figured, what is that? 5% of their salary? If they threw a ball into the stands, that'd be 5% of their salary. That's a 500. That's a lot for players back then. Nowadays, it's absolutely nothing. It's a joke. It wouldn't be 500. It would probably be closer to like 5,000, I guess, nowadays. But back then, $500 was a huge amount to any player. It wasn't like quarterbacks made $75 million like they do nowadays, and wide receivers only made 10 grand. They all made pretty much about the same. Some made a little bit more than others, but nobody, they all made 10, 20, 30,000. They made like hardly anything compared to, and basically they made nothing compared to what they make nowadays. So what he said was, apparently it was a game against the Eagles. And he's like, I remember I wanted to celebrate and I want to throw the ball in the stands. But he's like, as I crossed the goal line, he said, it was pretty funny. He says, I crossed the goal line. My intentions were to throw the ball in the stands, but I forgot that they changed the rule that it's a $500 fine to throw the ball in the stands. So instead of throwing the ball, he said, that's a lot of money to us back then. So instead of throwing the ball in the stands, I said, I just threw the ball on the ground. He said, and that's the origin of the spike. And he was laughing as he was saying it because he's like, he wanted to throw it in the stands, but he's like, I forgot it's $500. So he throws the ball on the ground. Let's see. In January 1970, Jones was traded to the Browns in exchange for running back Ron Johnson and defensive lineman Jim Konecki. His debut with Cleveland was the first Monday night game in history. The Jets played Cleveland in 1970, first game ever. And Jones made the biggest play in the Browns' 31-21 victory when he returned a second-half kickoff, 94 yards for a touchdown. So if you ever get that Trivial Pursuit question, who returned the first kickoff in Monday Night Football history back for a touchdown? It was Homer Jones. Second-half kickoff. Kind of turned the whole complexion of the game. The Jets were beating the Browns, outgained them big time, and just the Jets had a lot of mistakes, turnovers. Joe Namath threw a pick six at the end of the game with about a minute to go. So I mean, the Jets, if they didn't shoot themselves in the foot with a lot of mistakes and all and everything, should have won the game. But Homer Jones returned the kickoff back for a touchdown. But I said knee injuries limited to Jones to just 10 receptions at 1970, that season with the Browns, just 10 receptions. And he soon retired at the age of 29. He was traded, I think, to the Cardinals in 1971. But he tried to do whatever he could, but he had to retire at the age of 29, which is just unbelievably young. Didn't even make it to 30. Such a talent, speed and everything. Just says he was survived by 6 children. So, great guy. And, if you look at it, unfortunately, I don't know, I guess his career wasn't long enough or whatever, but I mean, what he was able to do with the ball, being such a weapon and all, I mean, and his 22.26 with just 200 catches. I mean, it's a shame. I mean, he's probably just short of going into the Hall of Fame. I mean, if he played a little bit longer, got some more receptions and all and everything, he probably could have quite possibly gone to the Hall of Fame. But sadly for him, he just played on teams that just basically went nowhere. He got to play with a couple Hall of Fame quarterbacks, but just injuries and just in the brief time he was a shining star. Sadly he just fizzled out way too soon, as a lot of players did back then with injuries. I mean, they just don't have the knowledge and the expertise that they do nowadays. But it is what it is. But just want to, Homer Jones back in the 60s, home run hitter for the Giants, the first one, New York Giants history. I just want to pay him some respect. Then they had the Mimicamp, day 2, coming soon to a theater near you. A light practice sends the Giants into summer vacation. They got like some type of, what would you say, team building activity where obviously, nobody's, maybe somebody might find out what it is, but nobody from the press or the media there or anything like that. So nobody's going to really pretty much know what's going on. But yeah, there's nothing on the field. So I said the Giants are back on the field for their final practice of mandatory minicamp on Wednesday. They will now head into summer break and are not required to return to East Rutherford until the start of training camp late in July, which is pretty much like about 2 weeks before preseason starts. So we're going to have that 6-week lull. But once they're coming back in 6 weeks, guys, we're off and frickin' running. Absolutely freaking amazing how fast the time flies by. Unbelievable. Because, I mean, once, 2 weeks, preseason game. A week later, another preseason game. Another, before you know it, we're going to be kicking off. You are looking live. Cowboys and Giants, right? The day began with an offensive assistant meeting with the members of the media press before Brian Dable took the podium for a press conference. Then it was off to practice, and he got some of the highlights or whatever. Quarterback Shea Tierney praised Daniel Jones for being consistent and disciplined, shows up early and leaves late every single day. Tierney has faith. This is pretty impressive. Tierney has faith that tight end Darren Waller will win his matchups every time. That's some high praise. I just hope that guy stays healthy. Really do. Offensive line coach Bobby Johnson is fine with John Michael Schmitz using the dead ball technique when snapping, since it's all about comfort level and otherwise he has no impact on the center quarterback exchange. Johnson added that John Michael Schmitz is a high IQ player who is developing rapidly. Good. Johnson says right tackle Evan Neal worked his tail off this offseason. Tight ends coach Andy Bischoff says Darren Waller is an example for all other players. Adds that Daniel Bellinger is a sponge and has improved significantly due to Waller's presence. That's good. That's really, really good. Because you figure, you're kind of hoping Daniel Bellinger will be here for many years to come. Let's hope. Giants wide receiver coach Mike Groh said Jalen Hyatt has maximized every opportunity to improve. Brian Daboll expressed an appreciation of Bill Parcells, who came the day before and spoke to the team. He said who visited the team and spoke to them on Tuesday. Daboll wants all players to return physically and mentally ready to go come training camp. Then the Giants and the Jets won't hold joint practices because, they're playing each other in the preseason. Then they're playing each other in the regular season too. So the Giants I think they're supposed to be holding joint practices with the Lions this year. So, the way the Lions improved last year, the Lions were a very good opponent, be a very, very good opponent for the Giants. So, but hopefully going forward, possibly next season when the Giants don't face the Jets in the regular season, they start holding joint practices. It says practice notes when individual drills began. Wide receiver Sterling Shepard headed inside, but he was outside. He was running some routes and all. He looked pretty good. Now, obviously, he's still not 100% ready to go and all, but there were some routes. I've seen a couple of videos of him running, and he was looking pretty good. So let's see here. I'm an idiot. So we've got July. So we have almost 3 months, a little less than 3 months. We got about 87 days, I think it is, so he has almost 3 more months to keep practicing and working and training and all that and everything. So, we'll see. He said it. Sterling Shepard said his goal was to get ready by the beginning of the regular season. So, if you look at some of those videos, he doesn't look too bad. So you just figure if he is not ready by regular season, by looking at those videos, it can't be too much after that. I can't be like, after looking at the video or watching him run, it's like, if he's not ready for the beginning of the season in 3 months from now, it can't be much more than another month or so after that. I'd be shocked if, just look the way he was running. If we have to wait like halfway through the season or so for him, and if we have to wait like in 5 months or so, I'd be a little surprised about that. But he's looking pretty good. Wide receiver Paris Campbell opened individual drills with the running backs. They may be doing some jet sweeps and stuff. Why the heck not? The dude is fast. Get the ball in his hands. Let him do his thing. Give him some open spaces and see if he can take off. Eric Gray and Khalil Pimpleton were among the return men in practice on Wednesday. Practice ended early with threatening weather and lightning in the area. Eli Manning was in attendance, visited the team on Wednesday. Cornerback Adoree Jackson, he came up limping a little bit, but appeared to be minor. He went up to break up a pass. I think it was in the end zone. He came down. He was like, landed. He got up and he was kind of walking. He sat down and by the back in the end zone or something along those lines. But then Ronnie Barnes, I believe it was, I think he was the one that came over to him. And after a short period of time, he got up and he kind of walked over and he went over to apparently Coach Daboll. So, hopefully everything's okay because, so far, what we did, we went through the OTAs, only 8 of them, and the mini camp here without really anything. Not hearing, yeah, so and so, yeah, he went down, hurt this huge crack, and then they put an air cast on his leg. He might be gone for the year. Haven't heard nothing like that. So, right. So, but there's still a bunch of guys that are still, had some procedures done in the off season. A lot of guys coming, Wando Robinson, Sterling Shepard, DJ Davidson, on and on and on, a bunch of guys. So hopefully they're off for another 6 weeks. Hopefully we can start getting some of these guys back. But so we have the dead zone, the 6 weeks where there's nothing. But so I got my little continuing thing kind of going on here. Now I'm up to the tight ends. What have I done so far? I did the quarterbacks. I'm just doing the Giants positional groups. I saw this on Big Blue Kickoff Live. So I'm like, that's something good. Because obviously you got to come up with stuff, try to talk about like on a normal or daily basis or whatever. So far I've gone over the quarterbacks, the running backs, and the wide receivers. They're comparing the Giants and all the other, other teams in the NFC East, right, to one another. Giving them each one a grade. So now we're to the tight ends. All right. Tomorrow I'm going to do the tackles and the guards and the centers. Then I'm going to go to the defense. So today is tight ends. All right. Now this one, to me, this one here was a no-brainer. I got now with the addition of Darren Waller, Giants numero uno. I mean, I am not impressed at all. I mean, the Eagles got Dallas Goedert, a very, very good, solid tight end. Outstanding draft pick by them, without question. But also it's the same thing with like Dalton Schultz. What made Dalton Schultz so good with the Cowboys was, who's around them. When you got like Amari Cooper and you got when Ezekiel Elliott was good, you got ABCD Lamb, you got some of these Michael Gallup out running around out there. It kind of takes a little pressure off you, takes a little attention off you. Like same thing with Dallas Goedert. He's good, he's tall and all, But when you got DeVonta Smith, you got a great offensive line, you got Jalen Hurts runs around out there and all, you got AJ Brown, right? It kind of takes a lot of stuff away from him, makes him even better than he is. But but I'll tell you what, if he ever gets hurt, I'll tell you what, the depth or lack of depth, it's the same thing with the Eagles. I mean, they got a couple positions where they're really, they kind of loaded, like defensive line and stuff like that. They got guys backing up guys, but they also have some positions they're really thin at. Okay, they're thin at, and if they get some injuries in some of these spots, like wide receiver, I mean, after like Brown and DeVonta Smith, I mean, they're getting a little thin. The Giants, without question, have the best depth. The wide receiver group. We just don't have the dog. That's what we're lacking. That's why I had the Giants number 4. We got our depth is better than any team in the NFC East. I put us in number 4 because we don't have the dog. Dallas got a dog, ABCD Lamb, special talent. The Eagles, DeVonta Smith and AJ Brown, they were number 1. Dallas is number 2. I gave the Commanders number 3 and the Giants because we don't have a dog. I like the Commanders' top receivers over the Giants' top receivers. So I got the Giants at number 4. But if the Eagles, I said if DeVonta Smith or Brown or Goddard, those guys get injured, they have like very thin depth behind them. Same thing with all the other teams. Really, the Giants. If you look at Sweeney and Cager, and Cager, he caught a touchdown pass last year. He's not going to be super spectacular or nothing, but we got Waller and Bellinger. Okay, we got a good deep threat. Somebody can catch the ball on any play, and we got Bellinger who can catch the ball, good hands, decent blocker. Right? I said the Eagles are, the Eagles, the Washington and the Cowboys. The Cowboys lost Dalton Schultz. Now they got Jake Ferguson who had 19 receptions last season. As their, I guess they're pretty much there. Look like I saw in the depth chart. He's their number one. The one thing with the Cowboys, and they got Schoonmaker. They drafted him, but I can't say what he's going to be because he's a rookie. So I really don't know. But the one thing I will say with the Cowboys, they got 4 guys. They're all young. Ferguson is 23. Hendershot's 23. Sean McKeon is 25. Schoonmaker is a rookie. So, I mean, so they're young. All right. But so they lost Dalton Schultz, who had like over 50 receptions, I believe, last year. So, I mean, they ain't got much depth there. They don't have much special talent. Yeah, I mean, this was another one of the reasons why the Giants kind of catching the Cowboys. You know, the Cowboys maybe made a couple moves here or there, but they lost some stuff too. They lost their tight end. Really, I mean, they replaced him with Schoonmaker, but he's a rookie, so we don't really know what he's going to do. But as I said, so they replaced their tight end with the rookie, but they also got Jake Ferguson and Hendershot. But we added Waller, so we caught and passed the Cowboys as far as tight end, you know. So I said same thing with the Commanders. They got Logan Thomas, John Bates, Cole Turner, and Curtis Hodges, who's a rookie. I mean, last year, Logan Thomas, their tight end, led him with 39 receptions for 323 yards and 1 touchdown. In his career, I mean, so Logan Thomas is 31 or 32, but in his career, he has 164 receptions, 1,506 yards, and 12 touchdowns. But I mean, it's just there's like no depth whatsoever with any of these teams as far as tight ends. The Giants have a little depth. If Waller goes down, we at least know Bellinger can at least carry the torch. Cager is serviceable, but I mean, at least our 1-2 punch is really, really good. And we got the deadliest weapon in the NFC East as far as tight ends by far. So as far as the tight ends in the NFC East, I got the Giants at number 1 because Waller and Bellinger blow everybody else away. I got the Eagles at number 2 because Dallas got it very good. And it's everything. He's a tall target, good hands, good, solid, really good, excellent pick by the Eagles. From whenever they got him a few years ago, good, solid, really good pick. So the Eagles are number 2, no question. But I said if he goes down, their depth behind him is. I got Washington number 3 because of Logan Thomas. I mean, Logan Thomas had more receptions last year than all of the Cowboys tight ends combined. If you get rid of Schultz, the other Cowboys tight ends looked like they had like 32 receptions last year combined. So I got Logan Thomas at 39 for the Commanders. But I said, but it's the same thing. It's like the depth. I mean, none of them are exceptional. The depth is really thin. So I mean, the Giants definitely, without question, the best tight end group in the NFC East, without question. We have the best, as far as I got. We got the best running back. We got the best tight end. So I got Washington is number 3. Then I got the Dallas Cowboys, who lost Schultz, trying to replace him with a rookie, but we don't know what the rookie's going to do. So I got the Cowboys are number 4. So after, what do I got? After 4 positions so far here, I got quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. The Eagles are number 5. If you're coming first place, you get 4 points. Second place, you get 3. Third place, you get 2. Fourth place or last place, you get 1 point. So after 4 positions, the Eagles are number 1. I'm sure they're going to wind up winning. Eagles got 14 points. The Giants are in second place with 12 points. Cowboys are in third with 8. Commanders are in fourth with 6 points. So we still got a long way to go. We got tackles tomorrow. So I'm going to go tackles, guards, and centers, and I'm going to go to the defense. So the Giants are all on their own so far. But, of course, that means absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing, especially when it comes to winning football games. You play the football games on the field. You got to win the games on the field, all that stuff and everything. So, but it just kind of goes to show you, from my perspective, so far after 4 positions, the Giants are kind of closing the gap a little bit, especially with the Cowboys. if we haven't totally caught the Cowboys, we closed the gap with the Dallas Cowboys. And I think, and with the Eagles as well. So we're closing the gap with the Eagles. Maybe we haven't caught them, but the Eagles didn't get no better. All right. Eagles did not get better. Cowboys did not get better. The Giants got better. So, and the Giants are just a couple positions away from maybe, having a really complete team. So, as I said, it's a process with the Giants. Giants weren't going to wave a magic wand last season and have a complete team and win the Super Bowl. Wasn't happening. We added a few more pieces to the puzzle this season. Once again, Shane wasn't going to wave a magic wand and we were going to have a Super Bowl contender this year. Hey, we'll have to wait and see. We have a very tough schedule. We got to stay healthy. But, things are certainly looking up. But let's give the Giants one more season, right? Another more draft picks. They'll have some salary cap space to spend next year. So let's see what they wind up doing. They got to, work their way through the weeds, shall we say. We got a ton of guys, ton of cornerbacks, a lot of safeties. We got edge rushers, we got linemen, we got wide receiver, so we got to start getting through, who we keeping Campbell, we're going to get rid of Crowder, Smith. Now we don't want to get Smith, but we got to keep Hodgins, Slayton, I don't know, because we might bring Bryce Wheaton out, but we got to keep Hyatt, and Sterling Shepard, so they got to start working their way through the weeds, and they're going to chisel their way down, and then they're going to add a few more pieces next season, and we should be, looking pretty good next season. But it's one year at a time. Like I said, we weren't going to wave a magic wand within a season or two, have this whole thing filled out. But you can see we're going in the right direction, without question. We're better than we were last year. The team last year was better than what Judge left us with. The team in 2023 is, depth-wise. I'm not saying we're going to have a better record because, with injuries, we're playing a harder schedule. We could have a better team and still wind up with the same record or with the 5, whatever. We can be 8-9, but have a better team. So, give yourself one more season and, then we'll start seeing where we're at there. But things are looking good for the Giants. Well, that's 42 minutes. Anybody spent any time watching me? I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Or if anybody spends any time watching the replays, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. As always, rest in peace, Homer Jones. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.